Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, Kentucky, Louisville to be specific. Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Engelman. This is Blake Walley, and this is the Agree to Disagree show. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It is February 28th, 2023. Can you believe it's 2023, Blake? What is that? How did we get to 23?
Time's moving real fast these days. It seems like it just yesterday we were doing these shows, and that was like 10 years ago. Some of these.
Jeez.
Where have our lives gone?
I know. Look at us. Look at us all these years later. But you know, it's the beauty of the internet. I saw Blake exposing some voter. Would you say exposing voter fraud at the Nevada GOP convention? It was the state convention, the delegate convention. How do you phrase that? The state delegate convention for the Republican Party?
Yeah, Republican National Committee Convention of Nevada in Reno, 2012. Ron Paul versus Mitt Romney, and Nevada was one of the 5 states that won, really, with more delegates for Ron Paul to get him into to Florida, where he was cheated at the end. But they tried to cheat us in Nevada, but we caught it. So, and I have it documented.
Yeah, and so I was doing a show, and then I saw. I'm looking here on YouTube or on Twitter. Tell me if we. Oh, there we go. Looks like I'm back on Twitter now. That's pretty cool. So we're streaming on Twitter. We're streaming on YouTube. There we go.
And
I had to adjust that in the ring light.
Look, I don't understand. I don't know if it should be broadcasting there, but I have to figure this out. Why it's not going.
Yeah, Facebook doesn't like me. They called me an adult sexual abuser, right? An adult sexual exploiter, because I shared a Hunter Biden meme from his crime laptop that 58 officials lied to our faces and spit in the to collude to collude in a coup of the 2020 election to oust the seated president, Donald J. Trump, right?
Pretty much, yeah. 50 intelligence assets.
Yeah, so they all said that the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't real. It has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. Literally everything that has been going on for the past 7 years, the deep state has been blaming Russia. They have been just Victoria Nuland has had such a hard on to just blow Russia up and just ignite World War III. Like, it is her life's mission. And this is the third Barack Obama term. Like, and now you're seeing what he's doing. I seriously think I had this thought earlier today, and I might have sent something out on Twitter. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at American_media_. But I had this thought. I said, you know, it sure seems like Obama speechwriters, it's one of those prank shows where like they're in the earpiece and they say, now say this, now say this. I feel like they're really pushing the envelope as far as how absurd they could write self-deprecating, anti-white, racist propaganda for Biden to spit out at a press conference. Like they just kind of keep one-upping themselves with these ridiculous narratives. So I'm pretty fascinated by it. But make sure you're following us at American_media_. I believe that's where I put that out. We're also on Telegram, the New American Media, YouTube.com/The New American Media, and Instagram, The New American Media. Facebook has deleted our page without cause, without explanation, without any opportunity to remedy any alleged issue. So screw Facebook. But yeah, you know, it really is clown world right now. And because I posted a meme of Hunter Biden holding Chinese spy balloons, they called me an adult sexual exploiter, because that guy's wearing his tighty whities and he's got a sash on, like a scarf or something. The deep state is just absolutely in love with this Biden crime family. It's vile, and it's poking the bear to mess with World War III. It's gotten pretty absurd. But yeah, 10 years back in a retrospective, Blake, like I was doing the Agree to Disagree show and I saw your video. I was scrolling through Ron Paul stuff because Ron Paul was pretty interesting about blowback and trying to elucidate, to illuminate, to really show people the dangers of playing Team America World Police. By the way, watch that movie if you haven't seen it in a while. Matt Damon. And, I saw that video of it was a guy wearing this super tight Ron Paul t-shirt and he's handing out fake slips saying, here, vote for these delegates. But like it was the Romney people and they had copied it and went to the Xerox place and got a few thousand of them were passing out the wrong. So people would have the wrong information. So if you think you're voting for Ron Paul, you're actually helping Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, one of the most disgusting politicians out there, a controlled deep state asset. I mean, Blake, off the top of your head, name me 10 or 20 of the most vile deep state political assets of the past 20 years. I mentioned Mitt Romney. Can you name me a few more of these neocons and
I'm sure there's a bunch, and I know there's a lot of them, and we'll have to get to that because we have a lot of issues to get into today. And his son Rand Paul has actually been instrumental calling out deep state and the COVID thing, which is the top story of the day. So why don't we just kind of outline? We do definitely want to talk about the Wuhan. As you can see, I'm in Wuhan, sitting up here in my throne. And we definitely want to. We're talking about the voter issues. Let's talk about Katie Hobbs. Is she run by the cartels? That has been a bombshell story. Those are two huge things. Definitely want to jump into that. There's still more things going on with the train derailment, people having health problems, Fetterman having health problems, Woody Harrelson calling out the cartels. So we'll definitely get to all of that stuff and more on this broadcast. But yes, it was, Brian and I certainly have a lot of history calling out the deep state, challenging the media, and there's a lot of swamp creatures. So it's going to be interesting now that the Republicans have taken the House back, if they can do something. And I guess the Senate is lining up because they've been with this narrative of how the Wuhan lab leaked, just kind of organic or came from a bat or a wet market. We all knew it was BS from the very beginning. Right. So
yeah, let's do that. Let's jump in there. Let's go ahead and hit our first story, shall we?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Jumping there. Setting this up, trying to get I guess Wuhan, China. That's the number one story. It's the information that you and I have been covering from the beginning. We've known what's up, and it seems like everybody that hated Trump wanted to lie about this. So, kind of walk us through what we were told and what we're hearing now, Blake.
Well, Dr. Fauci and this, administration, they were challenging Trump, who called it out from the very beginning, thinking that this was a leak from a lab. The media pushed back very hard, including Fauci, but it seems like he's been involved in gain-of-function research out there. He's been called out by Rand Paul for a long time, and then the media continues to push back. There's outrage on Twitter. Oh, my God. Like, they just put Fauci on the pedestal and all of his Dr. Birx and everybody, and they've been putting out junk science with wearing masks and, demonizing ivermectin and, cover up all over the place. And it should have been very obvious that this was probably coming from this lab in China. They didn't want us looking into it because they are personally invested into it. So Fauci, it's illegal to do this gain of function stuff. You're basically creating a bioweapon. You're messing around with these viruses and seeing what happens and trying to come up with, solutions or antidotes to potential diseases that could come, but these are very unnatural. They sort of came from a bat. It never made any sense. They've been chasing this theory for years. And finally, the Department of Energy, I guess it was, that came out and said, no, this is kind of refuted the official narrative. And now it's kind of causing a crisis in confidence for so many. And people on the left have got to have a serious wake up call here. They've been misled from the very beginning. Actually, Jon Stewart did a fantastic job going on the Colbert Show.
Are you able to play
was.
that one by chance? Are you able to pull that up on
I have it
YouTube?
in front of me right now, but if you can pull it up and throw it up there, it's a while. That would take me a while to dig for it. Maybe people have already seen that, and it seemed to be stating the obvious. And then Colbert, of course, has been putting out the propaganda. So he was
Colbert
trying
is
to
awful
it.
now.
He is
Oh,
awful.
Lord.
He's a corporate hack. But yeah, so Stewart tried to warn us. Obviously, people aren't going to listen to some of the Republicans on the left. But now it should be really obvious that this came from the lad, that we said it from the very beginning, even though we were censored and ignored and thought we were crazy conspiracy theorists. But looks like we were right from the get-go. You'd have been better off listening to a gonzo journalist, some Vegas bartender, than you would be from CDC or CNN or Dr. Fauci or any of those people, or Maddow. So it's very frustrating. Yet we were the ones getting censored. They all paid themselves millions of dollars, and yeah, just shoved it in our face, shut down our society, closed down restaurants, put masks on kids in schools, force people to get jabbed experimental vaccines so they could keep their jobs and raise their families. It's pretty awful what we've had to go through, and a lot of it was unnecessary.
Yeah, you can say that again. I have the clip here. Well, I have a clip. It's YouTube hasn't went ahead and split this up for me.
Those are hard to find when trying to find these clips. Sometimes they're not on YouTube because that's not friendly there. So you almost got to go to Rumble, but those clips are harder to run and navigate. But
isn't that interesting?
Well, it might be something on there, but trying to find the 30-second clip for Jon Stewart and Colbert when he calls it out.
Yeah, you know what? Here, let's go ahead
and
and give this a shot. I'm gonna pull this up because it's very well done, and there's very few people that were willing to go against the neuropathy, the neuroticism rather, the party line. And Jon Stewart just came out and said what needed to be said. Blake, I'm going to play this, but I'm going to need you to tell me once it starts playing if you can hear it. Because if you can hear it, I assume other people can hear it. And if you're in the chat room, hi, everybody in the chat room, please tell me if you can hear it as well. So let's go ahead and try to go to this, and I'm just going to let it play. But tell me right away if you're good to hear it. Here we go. I think. Sharing screen. Okay, why is it? Oh, I didn't ask it to start. And here we go.
Talking about how little progress we've made in science in combating pandemics, because in 1918, the advice was wear a mask, wash your hands.
That's right.
And 100 years later, 103 years later, wear a mask, wash your hands.
It was soul crushing to find that. I was really hoping that, like in 1918, they'd be like, drink a tincture of mercury and butterfly.
By the way, so am I going to have to pause this a few times to avoid copyright? Like, we're going to have to comment on it? I'm just trying to find the exact right moment to play.
I'm not sure. It should be like newsworthy, but you never know.
Like,
we have a different set
I
of
was
rules.
hoping it'd be like some bizarre thing, and I'm like, we've come a long way, baby. It's the exact same.
How do you feel about the science now, though?
So I will say this. I honestly mean this. I think we owe a great debt of gratitude.
Love this part.
To science. Science has, in many ways, helped ease the suffering of this pandemic, which was more than likely caused by science.
Look at that body language. By the way, did you see that? Did you see that instant recoil? Look how far he's leaning away from him right now. I wonder how much of this was planned and how much was completely off script, because Colbert is a complete hack shill. He used to be funny when he was doing the Colbert Report, and he's so hacky right now. He's almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel. But look at instantly he backs away from him in a bit of an outrage, but he continues.
In many ways helped ease the suffering of this pandemic, which was more than likely caused by science. So, and that's kind of.
Hold on one second.
Getting spicy.
No. Now, listen.
It's coffee. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. What do you mean by? Do you mean like?
Yeah, trying to find the exact clip, but I think it was just a little bit more of the intro, and then here we go.
A chance.
Well,
there's an investigation.
There's evidence I'd love to hear. I just don't know.
Oh my God,
novel
Colbert.
respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan novel respiratory coronavirus lab. The disease is the same name as the lab. That's just a little too weird, don't you think? And then they ask those scientists, they're like, how did this? So wait a minute, you work at the Wuhan.
And remember, keep in mind, it was incredibly brave for Jon Stewart to say this when he said it. This was a year ago. Only 7.7 million views. Every human should have to watch this, by the way.
Respiratory coronavirus lab. How did this happen? And they're like, a pangolin kissed a turtle. And you're like, no, the name of your lab. If you look at the name, let me see your business card. Show me
Could Colbert be leaning back any further in disgust by the fact that his friend Jon Stewart is not regurgitating the deep state agenda?
Oh, I work at the coronavirus lab in Wuhan. Oh, because there's a coronavirus loose in Wuhan. How did that happen? Maybe a bat flew into the cloaca of a turkey and then it sneezed into my chili, and now we all have coronavirus. Like, come on. Okay.
Wait a second.
What about this? Listen to this.
Wait a second.
All right.
John.
Oh my God. There's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness near Hershey, Pennsylvania. What do you think happened? Like, I don't know.
Chocolatey
Maybe
goodness.
a steam shovel mated with a cocoa bean.
Colbert with
Or
his uncomfortable
it's the
grin.
chocolate factory. Maybe that's it.
That could be.
That
could be
fantastic. I think we'll pause right there. You get the gist of it, Blake.
Yep.
Fantastic. It's so good. React to that a second. Like in hindsight, how important it was for him to kind of break the seal for some people to kind of be open to learning about this now, who have been lied to religiously for 3 years straight.
Well, that's what made Jon Stewart great. That's what made the liberals respectable for so long, and he couldn't prop them up any further. Because, he did some incredible work when we needed some voice of reason during the Bush administration and what have you. I think he kind of backed out from the politics when the liberals went so far left and just became these woke social justice warriors left. Colbert went on, to just spread propaganda. When you make those kind of deals and up in that position of power, you're expected to be, beholden by the special interests. And I know he was probably just cringing, freaking out because he knows that, the network heads are going to be, reaming his ass for, having that information put out there. And so it's going to piss off the sponsors. Pfizer pays off everybody, the big pharma cartel. So, it wasn't a good look. But somebody needed to say it. And if the liberals aren't going to listen to the conservatives or Trump or anybody on that side, and they're not going to get any info, you almost needed Jon Stewart just to come in, not even on his own show, and to break that. And we all kind of knew, but then they just kind of swept it under the rug slowly, let it go, and then just went back to their old BS story. But, they can't hide it anymore. And now finally the Department of Energy the other day saying no. And it's so obvious. And that's the way it was so great to see him. Duh, like we all know. But it's sad to see how people don't question things. Yeah.
There's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness.
Yeah. I don't know how they could have spelled it out for people, but the people that lack critical thinking and they just want to go along with whatever the current thing is.
Now were these people that were duped, and I'm trying to understand. For the life of me, I do have a hard time empathizing, and they say to understand another man, walk a mile in his shoes or something. But I can't understand how you could objectively look at information and always get the wrong answer. Is it just a hatred of Donald Trump, the Trump derangement syndrome, where people want him to be out of office so bad that anybody will agree with anybody attacking Orange Man, even if they know the information is false? Is that all we're looking at here? Trump derangement syndrome on full display?
They're brainwashed by this stuff. So, it's part of the human nature, I guess, just to be sheep-like and cult followers, and to, trust your certain representatives or certain reporters, and you go with that, or you let the courage to speak out and to do something different.
So right now we have what? The Department of Energy has went ahead and what is this? I got something popped up here. Meet with Sean.
Right. So I've been using this Restream service and having some issues with the billing and everything. So I do want to chat with them. So they've been busy today. So I definitely want to.
Do you want to go offline and I'll just carry this and you'll come back, or do you want to get to them?
It's for tomorrow. They're setting up a meeting for March 1st. If you can take a look at it, that's tomorrow. So
do you want me to click one, or you got it? You're going to set up a time?
Yeah, don't worry about it. I know you get distracted. No worries. I'll take care of this. But yeah, it's for a meeting tomorrow with the Restream, so we can figure out what's going on. I think I won't get into that too much, but it's a great service. I just want to make sure that I'm getting what I'm thinking I'm getting as far as the subscription costs go, and the settings and how much money I'm paying. So anyway,
gotcha. It's just in the middle of my screen, so I'm just trying to figure out what to do with it. Let's see. Jocelyn was saying Moderna's mRNA patent for the vaccine was June of 2018. Wow, that is great timing, isn't it? And then she says, look it up. It was Dr. Li Mengyan who said that there was a Frankenvirus test during a military event. That's interesting. And so, I watched Tucker was replaying that video of that person who was working over there in China saying exactly what this was. What is this here? I can't really, I can close it on my side, right? And it won't close it for you.
There should be like a down arrow or something on the bottom, or you just click that and it'll knock the whole screen down.
Okay. And she's saying there was a Fauci email dump back in March. Dr. Lee confirmed that the virus was leaked during a military event. Soldiers around the world were infected, and the thing that I was saying too is that let's not forget that there was a Hong Kong uprising in 2019, 2020. I believe it was something along the lines of, and please, let's bring in an expert to do the full deep dive into Hong Kong and China, but China operating semi-autonomously, but then around 2019, there was a strong push from China to start sending dissidents out of their judicial system into the Chinese gulag, internment camp, slave labor camp judicial system. And the people said, hell no, we're not doing that. And this was getting really big in 2019 into 2020. And guess what was unleashed right around that time? And guess what really quieted down right afterward? So I mean, you look at Hong Kong and Wuhan are not that far apart, by the way. I've always been curious about that connection and correlation. Any thoughts on that one, Blake?
I'm sure that definitely played a part. That was a terrible story. Those are some of the bravest people to speak out against the oppressing this horrible Chinese Communist Party. And they're not like, Second Amendment people like we are here in America, where we can have a First Amendment, we can talk, and, so what they're doing is they're under, with the power of the government, cracking down on them, the dissidents. We're trying to get freedom. They're trying to, get our attention, waving the American flags. They want to be like us. They don't want to have to live under those conditions, and no one can blame them. But the Wuhan lab is quite a bit farther up north, so I don't think it had anything to do with it. But it was a good way to get rid of them. And who knows what they're in some kind of prison camp being tortured or something. I wish we could have just won the election and put on a rescue mission.
Who's to say we didn't?
Folks. No, I don't know. What do you mean? You think we saved the Hong Kong protesters? You think the good guys,
I mean,
the white hats,
that this wasn't a blowout election for the good guys.
Trump did not win. I know. I mean, since Trump didn't win, so now we're under China.
I mean, really?
Who's
I
in
just,
trouble right
as
now?
more and more of these are coming true, everything I've been screaming out into the void, I've just been yelling at a brick wall, banging my head up against it for 3 years, going, okay, well, 2 years at least. Well, no, 3 years since COVID, and then 2 years since this thing that happened in 2020. There's a laundry list of all the shit that I've been saying that's correct. I'm not going to change my instinct on what really happened in the 2020 election. I can't. I will not, because I've been proven right about damn near everything that's important this whole time. So when you said, wouldn't have been interesting had we won the election, like, okay, well, what if we did? What if we did and it was paused and then everything flipped?
I got you. I totally know what you mean, but that's, not what happened, unfortunately. So,
well, what didn't happen was, Trump did not keep power. The Republicans did have to cede power. And, in a very real way, there's a lot of people in America who are begging the international community for help, saying that we've been the victim of a coup. Our government has been overthrown by usurpers. And now they're trying to get involved in foreign conflicts and money launder through Ukraine. And we're begging for help. We're innocent victims trapped here by lying sociopaths. Please help. International community. Any blue hats want to? No, blue hats are not welcome on this soil, but you get the point. So I guess, right now we have the FBI. I believe it was the FBI and the Department of Energy are the two organizations that in government have publicly said that, or this is a released internal memo. It wasn't quite public, but whatever. Now it's public. There are a couple of organizations that are still lying about it, right? And so that's what the press secretary is hiding behind, and they're kind of saying, well, the communities, we're not sure. There's differing report. They're really high. They're extending this lie as long as they can, right? You've kind of heard that back and forth from them.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, they don't want to take responsibility for anything, just like the Nord Stream pipelines. We all know it was done by the U.S., the whole world, and yet they're still going to be like, we still need to find out more information. No, they're guilty, and they don't want to face the consequences. So
exactly. It's fun to watch it unravel, though, because it's painfully obvious who the criminals are. It's painfully obvious who the liars are, the violators of our Constitution, of our Bill of Rights, our rights. There's a laundry list now of people who are way too deep. They've been bribed, they've been blackmailed, they've been threatened. And they're all playing for the demon team. Like, they're all in the group of liars and warmongers, sociopaths. And, the group, including Fauci, if China released this intentionally, which is very possible, if not probable, that's one thing. If it was accidental, that's another thing. But either way, I think it shows that there's a reason that gain of function was banned. And Fauci working his way around it to no. Here, let me pretend I'm a Clinton for a second. No. See, nobody's going to donate to me. You're going to donate to the Clinton Foundation. And then you're going to go ahead and buy a piece of art. I'm mixing my metaphors because I'm thinking about Hunter Biden's art, but you get the point. It all just goes from one hand and then it goes to the other. And then it comes right back to you and you go, oh, look at that. It's like an Ozark. It's how the money is laundered. Fauci getting around the law by funding the Wuhan lab, and then this getting out, it just proves that this type of shit shouldn't be going on because they can't be trusted. It goes even deeper, though, because how are we supposed to unravel this ball of yarn to figure out if these pharmaceutical companies did this intentionally so that they could push their product to get it mandated so that everybody would have to take this thing and they could have record profits at the behest of government purchasing this stuff in bulk. And then they go ahead and buy all the advertising space on the bullshit media companies so that ABC, ESPN, Disney, you'll have Jimmy Kimmel, you'll have Stephen Colbert, you'll have their trash news companies, the awful wokesters on the ESPN broadcasts, all the crap, the CRT being pushed in Disney. It's a full court press then to push that everybody needs to take their product. I mean, how are we supposed to unravel that component of this, Blake?
It should be easy to figure all this stuff out. I mean, a lot of it's already been out there. They had Event 201. We've got all this information out there. So they've been planning for pandemics with Bill Gates, and we know it's the CDC. All of them made by Fauci and was it doctors at who I forget what are the other prominent doctors that's been involved in a lot of this cover up. So they've been on the gain of function. We know so much of this stuff and their connections to Wuhan and other things. So they've just been preventing us from, taking a closer look. Rand Paul's been trying. He keeps getting blocked or they demonize him, but it doesn't look like it's going to continue forever. They've held it back long enough. And now we've got you got Rand Paul calling for, I guess, declassification of the COVID lab leak documents because they don't want the public to know about that. And you've got several senators. You got Josh Hawley, Tom Cotton, Mike Brown, Andrew Clyde, talking about, big tech censoring, legacy media denying things, government officials hiding the truth. And it's just been a massive cover up on so many different levels, and they've kept the American people in the dark because a lot of these people are like somebody like Fauci. Once it's all said and done, this is like, something like Nuremberg. Like you're going to have to go on trial.
It's the biggest crime. It's the biggest crime in human history, human recorded history.
Right.
What do we have? 7 million people dead?
I don't know exactly how many, but yeah, between the people that have died from this leak and the COVID, and then people that have maybe had adverse reactions to taking
all the ancillary damage. Anybody who's been harmed by the mRNA shot, those are all casualties. All the kids that were forced to wear these stupid face diapers. Another report came out last week. I don't know if you had that one pulled up for in your Blake's takes, your show notes, but
nope.
Just once again confirming that the masks did nothing to reduce transmission. It did nothing to prevent you from catching it. All the same shit we've been saying as loud as we can to anybody who would listen, confirming that again as well. All the harm done to these kids. Like, you remember how it felt having to put that stupid thing on your face, especially knowing that it wasn't doing a damn thing. And it's like, you may not leave your prison, your home. You may not work unless you wear this face diaper. And it was like, that scene where Kunta Kinte, they're whipping him and they want, your name is Toby. Kunta, Toby, your name is Toby. And it's just, I will beat you to death unless you submit. Unless you say, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, I will wear my dumb face mask that doesn't do anything to prevent anything. Yes, sir. Beaten. We were so brutalized by that. It's so psychological what was done.
Yeah. No, it was terrible. It was crimes against humanity. It was all for show. It was like they were just trying to break us down. And that was the big move. We were waiting for a globalist move, New World Order, to take control. And that was it. And said for a long time, and they even threatened us, last winter, like it's going to be a winter of darkness and death for people that refuse to take, all the anti-vaxxers that refuse to take the medicine, and so they got us. And I was pretty lucky; I didn't have to deal with. I lost all my jobs and stuff, and when I was in California, LA, but I didn't have to suffer like a lot of people did. I felt really bad for all the people that work in grocery stores and they got to wear a mask for 7 hours a day, sit behind the plexiglass. I saw a lot of weird things, even going through Vegas and looking at dealers and hiding behind plexiglass with their stupid masks on. Like, something is just not right. Now, the only I would have to wear one as a courtesy to go grocery shopping. The worst I had it was just sitting on a plane for a few hours with some, stewardess Nazi whose whole job is just to make sure that you're wearing your mask. but I never had to wear it for more than a few hours, thankfully. But yeah, that's restricts your breathing. You get bacteria on there, and you just having it just attached to your face like that. I don't know if people washed them that much. It just never made any sense. A cloth mask can't stop viruses, but then they would act like this was totally normal, and now I was a conspiracy theorist. So it was just a total absurdity for years, and finally, maybe we're making some headway here, but there has to be some consequences for all.
Oh my God, there have to be enormous consequences.
Yeah. One thing I saw interesting last night, I happened to stumble onto the Young Turks video, and they were actually finally kind of admitting, like, oh, duh, I guess it was a lab leak. And then Anna Kasparian was like freaking out, like, I don't know who to trust now. All the reporters that were saying this was real and this and that. And it's like, well, hey, trust us. You know,
our track record. We're batting 1,000. I mean, we're batting 950,
20 or something. We're way over the the mainstream media.
The mainstream media is below the Mendoza line. Like
right.
They are barely keeping their head above in the majors, like barely being sent back to AAA. They accidentally have to cover actual news occasionally.
Yeah, otherwise they just do what they stick to the talking points. They know not to piss off the sponsors, and that's it. And they love the power and the money they get with the job.
Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and pivot over to, a story that's really connected to this. I'll play you a clip again. There we go. That was a pretty quick one. This was big over the weekend, and I think it's of note. It's important. It's funny because it's not important to me when any celebrity has anything to say about any of their lies, any of their propaganda. They've been paid off. They've been blackmailed on the island, and now they got to go out and constantly spew awful talking points because they're, you better do this or we'll release the tape. Oh, fucking hell, fine. And you get all these celebrities parroting what the liars and legacy media are doing. And to Anna Kasparian, just look at the people who keep lying to you and only ever listen to those people as a barometer to assume what is incorrect, to assume what the exact opposite of the story is. That's how you're supposed to be doing this. You've been listening to the wrong people for too long, Anna Kasparian. But yeah, I wanted to get to this video real quick. This was important. This happened over the weekend. And if we're going to talk about how cool Jon Stewart was for kind of unleashing some truth bombs in places that they were unexpected, I want to play this clip of Woody Harrelson. It's a brief one. I won't do the whole monologue, but here's a piece, Blake. Once again, just give me a thumbs up or let me know that it's playing on your side.
Okay.
All right, last night.
So the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes, and people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea?
Moments later. Oh, there you go. Okay. Rambling. I love it. I love it, Blake. Thoughts on what Woody had to say about that script?
Yeah, there was a few of those because I think they might go into them. I'm going to do a quick screen share here.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, here it is right here. So yeah, you got the Woody Harrelson, biggest drug cartels. People were freaking out about that, and then here was the and it was like right automatically Rolling Stone, Daily Beast, Variety, HuffPost, and I'm sure some of the other usual
Vanity Fair, I'm sure, where you could check out Ford Fisher's interview. I'm like, oh God, Vanity Fair. They're just as bad as Daily Beast or Rolling Stone.
Yep, or Daily Kos or whatever. There's a Raw story.
But once again, I just want to remind you, as a general rule of thumb, here's like this has been an epiphany of mine recently. When I hear people saying insurrection or typing insurrection, unless it's satire or comedy, like the Babylon Bee, obviously they're allowed to use the term insurrection, or conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist. These are instant code words. Like when you hear diversity, equity, inclusion, there's code words that you can hear now, and you can instantly disregard everything else that person has to say moving forward and everything they said prior, because these are not intellectually honest people. Now, I don't mean every time, but if you started from that point, that perspective, just as a general thermometer of trying to understand your surroundings and your environment, you may save yourself quite a bit of hassle and headache just by identifying these NPCs, these non-playable characters, regurgitating these lies. These are just lies. You don't get all the gun owners together, hundreds of thousands of people, the equivalent of like if every NFL stadium dumped out into Washington, D.C. at the same time, and they're all Trump supporting gun owners. And the only shot fired that day was when a cop of a different race shot and killed a veteran mother in the neck. The only shot fired. You're not allowed to use the term insurrection. It's ridiculous. You're not allowed to say conspiracy theorist, because the laundry list, and go on Twitter at American_media_. That's one of the only social media sites I actually give a shit about now, because the permission to speak freely. Thank you, Elon. I will speak freely here again. Fuck you, Facebook, and fuck you, YouTube. Pardon my language, but I digress. There's a laundry list, and I tweeted out earlier this morning, maybe last night. And it's just like maybe 10 different things that the conspiracy theorists were mocked for on Fox, because Fox is a lost cause. Tucker's good. Gutfeld's good. Fox is completely gone. Let them go. Like, stop thinking they're your friends, because they're not. But they've been pushing so many lies, MSNBC and CNN and Fox, all these crap legacy media lying outlets, these legacy media trolls have been calling you names, the CS word. Conspiracy theorist. Oh, this is a wild conspiracy. You're spewing conspiracies. You're rambling conspiracies. Guess what, motherfucker? We're right. Look, I will take our batting record, our batting average. I'll take our record and put it up against any of you propagandists all day, any day. Name your time and place. So anyway, just the point is, when you see people using these phrases, diversity, equity, inclusion, it is a sledgehammer for power, control, and submission and dollars. It's just buzzwords. It's code words. When they say you're a conspiracy theorist, when they say insurrection, these are people who are just delivering to you propaganda for power and control. So be aware of that. Be very aware of that. It's never been more obvious to me, Blake. I don't know. Have you noticed that trend as well, that the people that say any of those things are usually all the worst people pushing for all the worst solutions to the problems of the day?
Yeah, a lot of them are paid influencers. So yeah, the hacks, flacks, and lackeys, the leftists, and it's gotten out of control. And it's been pushing these narratives on Twitter. They've been dominating social media for a long time, but it's been unfair the way that they have been playing the game. So they've been taking over, with their propaganda and their talking points, and they think they're special. And going against Fox and the Orange Man bad, and running Trump off Twitter, getting so many of us, banned, demonetized, taken over. And no, it's been completely one-sided and unfair, and they have no diversity of opinion. They have talking points they get from the very top, and they stick to a very tight script. I think some of these people, I don't even know if they come up with their own tweets. Some of them, I don't even see them engage with people. They just put out these perfectly worded, tweets every couple of hours that just push a certain narrative, and they're consistently wrong. So hopefully you're going to see some kind of a crisis where there's also, some useful idiots that just think they're correct. But as all of these stories keep getting debunked, I'm hoping people will, find other alternatives. And a lot of us, they're going to find us, but we're shadow banned into oblivion, or they've dismissed us or blocked us long ago. So it's a real crisis of confidence as far as the media goes. Yeah, Brian, we've spent how many thousands of hours, I feel like, over the years, made huge sacrifices.
Oh my
Put
God.
ourselves out there to try to combat these narratives, and then we get in trouble for it.
All humanity would have needed to do was listen to us, and you would have been right
probably. Yeah, let's say
90-something%
once
of the
in a
time.
while. I try to get it right, or I apologize. I'm pretty damn close.
And there's a difference. Like, we can have an opinion. I can say, I'm rooting for the Cleveland Browns to win the Super Bowl this year. And you could say, Brian, I disagree. I think the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins will dominate the NFC and defeat whoever comes out of the AFC. And that's just an opinion based. I'm rooting for a team kind of thing. Like, I don't think we don't root for the Republican Party. Neither of you and I don't like the Republican Party. I think we loathe and despise and call out the Democrats because they're completely insane.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I don't know what I'm for, but I know what I'm against. I can't turn around and say, well, I'm against Democrats, so I got to vote Republican. You go, Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney and John McCain. And you go down the laundry list of people, you're like, these Republicans, they are just Democrats. They are complete rhinos, Republican in name only. This is not a choice. This is more of the same crap, but the left is just, I think Obama broke them. Honestly, they were a normal party. They just didn't like the Iraq war or George Bush. And it was like, okay, well, yeah, all right. That makes some sense. Let's discuss that. I think everything broke when Obama got in around 2008. And that's when the whole tenor of the nation changed. He was a community organizer, an agitator, a race baiter, a racial arsonist, and everything just became weaponized in a way. And what was it? Obama changed that rule. He changed that rule about government propaganda during his term, wasn't it? Where was it Smith Munt or Bunt? What was that called?
I forget. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he did all kinds of like covert ways of manipulating things behind the scenes to change things for that direction. And then just like deep state went out of control. And yeah, the media apparatus just became weaponized against us. It was quite a phenomenon, and not in the right way. He was supposed to unite the country and heal us after the horrible Bush-Cheney administration. Those people should have been held up for war crimes. They didn't. And we thought, Obama might retaliate. No, he didn't. He just took things in a different direction. But yeah, he moved everybody way extreme left so carefully that they didn't even realize that how far left they've gone. So I don't think I've changed a whole heck of a lot. I was, definitely a Democrat early part of those 2000s. But I can't relate to them anymore. So now I'm way more like people like, Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder or something are normally my ideological enemies. I would have hated their guts in 2006 or 2008. But now it's like, okay, well, I guess we're kind of, we all have to unite against a worse foe, which is the radical leftists who are totally.
And I had to probably come out of my not rose-colored glasses, but I had to grow up a little bit because I used to think, well, the Democrats are just off their rocker, so I guess I'll vote Republican. And I quickly figured out, like, well, this party's terrible. I need to vote Libertarian. Well, crap, they can't win. And that's the conundrum. It's like, I don't like Republicans, but like Libertarians aren't polling past 5%.
We came so close in 2012. We were right there. So we took over the Republican Party in Nevada. We showed the numbers. We had the delegates. They came in, and the Republicans cheated everything in Florida. But it was that close. I don't know if Ron Paul could have beaten Obama. I'm sure they've done something dirty to steal it then. But it's been a lost cause ever since. And they put up Gary Johnson, and they put up Bill Weld. They got no chance either. And they're just.
I did. I interviewed Gary Johnson on the show. You can go back. I interviewed him his first run, but not his second.
First run, he was great. Second run, it was like, what happened to this dude?
Definitely
whatever, it
something
wasn't a big deal.
changed. Let me get to this comment real quick because it's
Yeah.
on point, and then I'll pivot into the next story.
Yeah.
This is Space Ace on the topic we were saying, kind of circling back, pulling a Jen Psaki. We're going to circle back to the wearing the face masks and all the lies that they were telling you. You will change your name. Your name is Toby. And if it ain't, you can't enter society again. He says he lost his job. Then he was refused government assistance. He lives in Canada, the unemployment insurance. It's a fund that he's put into his whole life. He got fired for not wearing a mask and then denied his own money to help him. You know, I am begging for the citizens of Canada to wake the hell up and get rid of Trudeau. I don't know what you have to do to seize your elections, to secure your borders.
I'm sure they did.
Good Lord, that whole country to the north is falling to pieces. And
but
when
dude,
you have a
they
weak
did
neighbor,
that trucker rally was fantastic, and then they finally chased them out. It was so proud of Canada.
I know
they did come together for that time period, like in the dead of winter, and they defied Trudeau, and he had to run with his tail between his legs.
That was beautiful.
They hate him. Trudeau can't even go out in public without people coming after him. So no, I think they're in the same.
How could he? Why should he? And same with Pelosi. Pelosi was doing a Vanity Fair
Economic Forum
piece,
right?
Yeah, Pelosi was out doing a Vanity Fair fluff piece, and she was confronted by somebody with a camera and said, "Hey, you have thousands of people sleeping on the streets of your filthy city, and you're money laundering. You're going over giving billions of dollars to Ukraine that we don't give a crap about, that doesn't help our country. Why don't you take care of your own city? Why don't you take care of this country before you spend our money? That we didn't approve that." Like he threw a few really good questions at her before he was escorted out of the restaurant. But like, that's what Vanity Fair should be asking. And I told Ford Fisher, our guest from the other day on the program, he was also interviewed by Vanity Fair, and they selectively picked one of the quotes, not the best one based on what he told me. He told them, but that's why you always record your own interviews with other people in case it ever comes up and you got to prove that you said or didn't say what they said you did or didn't say. I digress. But what I was thinking and what I told Ford was, wouldn't it be cool though if part of the interview is stopped by somebody yelling at you and recording in a public space? So I decided to ask those 4 questions to Miss Pelosi and get her to respond on the record, because that's what journalism is. If it's not, it's just a fluff piece. It's just a fashion magazine. And if you're going to be talking to someone like Nancy Pelosi, it's not to find out what her pearls are and who's making her little pantsuit jacket from the Hillary Clinton collection. It's to get some answers, to get some geopolitical feedback. I haven't read the interview. I don't even know if it's released or not yet, but like, that's what journalism's supposed to do. But back to this point here.
They were all bought up. So it's not a fourth estate that's holding them accountable. They're bought up. So say the reporter decided to go rogue and ask Nancy some tough questions, that reporter would be gone and they'd be in the industry ever again. So it's a totally different thing now. Everything's changed.
Okay,
the rich and powerful don't like the media coming after them, so they just bought up the media. Now what are they going to do? Nothing.
Well, Space Ace continued here. He was kind of talking about, we've seen a lot of things changing. Why would the Department of Energy release this finding now? Why is the narrative changing? Is something about to happen? Is more information about to drop? Are they trying to get ahead of a story here? Because this is a complete shift in narrative. I could have very well been one of the people who lost my Facebook page for the New American Media because I was repeating that this came from Wuhan, China, what we all knew. By the way, I did a podcast called Big Fish in, was it Little Fish in the Big Kingdom? With a friend who lives in China and does work out there. And he interviewed me right as Corona was happening. Maybe it was March or April. It was within a month. And I remember I discussed this exact topic, and it was cut out of the show. He did not want me to ruffle the feathers of his masters over there in China. It was edited out right in the middle, and I called him to task on it. And I said, what the hell are you doing? If you're talking to me, let me talk. He's like, well, you got to understand my position. I can't, and I'm like, okay, fine. I get it. You're living behind enemy lines, literally, because they're attacking the world. I get it. But I said what I said, and I meant what I said. and it never made it out there because it was chopped off at the legs. There's a soft tyranny of censorship that happens when you have a crazy woke teacher that's just pushing, self-hatred and racism. They're pushing their racism onto you, trying to make you feel bad because you don't have enough melanin in your skin. And it's just like doing this DEI thing. We've all had bosses or teachers, or we've all been in situations where it's like, so am I going to have to make a big deal out of this? Or is this just, can I just get through this? This is probably going to get worse before it gets better if I push back.
Yeah, well, that dude in China would have probably been sitting in a gulag right now if it was letting you run with your questions. So
Yeah.
it's tough call. We're in an advantage here in America, but they are trying to clamp down on us as far as being able to share that stuff. So I've kind of like said, hey, let's kind of be careful about certain issues so we don't get yanked off of YouTube, because we do still want to have that platform to talk on. Otherwise, we're going to be in a vacuum.
So we're back on Twitter at American_media_ and Blake is at TV's Blake Walley. I want to get to this point and then jump into the rest of our stories. We're going to start speeding up our stories here, but Space Ace kind of just, going off script. Can you address that in particular? Do you feel like this information coming out is trying to get ahead of the fact that these investigations from the House now, the fact that you cannot keep lying to us forever? We have you on record. We have the recordings of the things you said. We have the documents of the shit you typed, and we know it's all lies. You're all going to get held to account. Is this just them trying to position themselves? And because people are still saying, oh, maybe it was a lab leak out of Wuhan. No. It may have been an intentional bioweapons attack on the people of China, on the people of Hong Kong, or the people of the United States during an election to oust Trump because he's in the way, or on the people of the world because we're trying to take over the damn globe. I feel like it's definitely possible that this was intentional, if not likely that this was intentional. I don't know for sure, but do you feel like the reason they're changing script is because they know they can't stop the tsunami, so they're just putting their boots on and their rain jackets and they're bracing for impact?
I guess they've held the dam back as long as they can. I don't know exactly what forced this or what's happening, or if they're trying to get ahead of it. But yeah, when you got too big to jail, too big to fail, whatever, you've got all these very powerful people in the government, in the media, that were implicit, it looks like, in potential crimes against humanity in a lab leak cover-up. Lock down the country, force people to take experimental vaccines and masks up, and try to basically control our lives going forward. Made a big move, or whether they had to react on it, but it seems like they were trying to do something, or whether that's reduction, or whether that's to create this pandemic where they had to have mail-in balloting, or whether they had to win.
They had to find some way to get rid of Trump. And they had to scare people away. And you had Zuckerberg. Oh, I cannot wait for the Facebook files. My God, the vengeance. My name is Inigo Montoya.
Yep.
It's from The Princess Bride. Finish the quote. You know where I'm coming from, where that energy is. These people must face justice. The millions of dollars to push these drop boxes. They didn't even have proper authorization to run the elections the way that they did in places like Pennsylvania. Anyway, I can't legislate the same thing because, YouTube, Google thinks they control the facts still. Well, guess what, sweetheart? Guess what, Buttercup? You don't. And your time is coming. You've lied to us long enough. It'll come out. It's going to come out. But yeah, we were removed for talking the truth, but look, our batting average is speaking for itself. And as baseball spring training is getting into full swing, pardon the pun, I'm pretty excited about that. So I'll take that pun and I'll run with it. And I think we should jump to the next the next topic. Good, sir.
Sure.
All right, Blake, do you agree or disagree that the state of Arizona is secretly controlled by the cartel? Do we have enough information on this, or at least is this a place where we need to follow the smoke signals because Nothing has felt right since Sheriff Joe Arpaio was removed from Maricopa County Sheriff. And it's gotten even more blatant these days. Well, what say you? What is the story coming out of Arizona right now? Do you have something you can pull up and walk us through? Because I know that's one of the topics you do not want to talk about. You have not been a fan of this air quote election that was air quote safe and secure. So I'm trying to respect that a little bit, but it's so blatant. It's another case of I will not debate you. I'm also running the election that I'm in, but you should have had to resign because of conflict of interest. You didn't. Let's say you.
No, I hear you. Yeah, YouTube has absolutely zero tolerance about questioning integrity of the election. So I'm just trying to be careful with that. You can't appeal it, and if I get a hit, I get a strike, and then we can't talk about anything for a month. So I just rather it's not a hill to die on, or maybe at some point. But I mean, this is a bombshell development we had just a few days ago. Some very credible allegations put out saying that, Katie Hobbs and a number of high prominent elected officials in Arizona, institutions, are taking cartel money that's been laundered through a real estate scam. So I'm still trying to unravel that. I've taken some notes on that because it is hard to follow. I'll do a quick screen share and show what I've seen. So this is a lady. This is actually from Ben Swan's new outfit, Sovereign, saying election bombshell, top Arizona officials implicated in fraud and racketeering investigation. It's for Jacqueline Breger, I believe is her name, who made an appearance speaking in front of this council. You see Wendy Rogers right there. There's a great article. There's a couple of them. But this one I found on the Post-Millennial. Katie Hobbs accused, so this is all accused. We don't know exactly of receiving cartel bribes, including the Runbeck Election Services, this shady company. Like all the ballots have to go from the precinct, get run into this place, and they don't. What is it? The chain of custody is kind of hard to follow. Like just moving boxes of ballots allegedly, and they're counted in a separate facility, but it looks like they may be taking money. And this is a giant, maybe one of the biggest scandal in American history, along with this Wuhan lab leak and the gain of function thing. I don't know which story is bigger. If this one turns out to be true, and it looks like it's credible enough, and it's going to do with the California-based law firm that has come out with this stuff. I took some notes. I can maybe, Brian, why don't you just stop me whenever? I just kind of cruise through some of the notes I took last night.
No, just look, I'm here for it because I think one of the greatest things I can do is riff off the top, and I think some of the greatest things you can do is lay out the research and kind of go through the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, why of it all. So no, I'm here to listen as much as I am to ramble. I want to listen more than I talk. Okay,
well, I didn't even go over these, but I will read notes. Just stop me whenever. So California-based law firm accuses Katie Hobbs, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, Runbeck Election Services, other election officials, mayors, judges, city councilmen, county supervisors, taking money from the Sinaloa cartel. There was a hearing, the Senate Elections Committee. You're seeing it right here. This lady right here, Jacqueline Breger. So this is the hearing, Senate Elections and Municipal Oversight and Elections Joint Committee. So she's the principal investigator, and she works for Harris Thaler Law. And she presented findings of money laundering. It was from the Midwest, originated in Iowa, and revealed issues in Arizona. Sinaloa cartel is from El Chapo, so people know. And they're involving trust deeds. It was cash laundering houses in Arizona. They began in Iowa. So the Sinaloa cartel, they got so much money, so they're laundering their money by buying up property. And there's tens of thousands of falsified documents, warranty deeds, trust deeds, notarizations, and they're kind of indirectly used to bribe public officials. There's tax evasion, extortion, payroll theft, bankruptcy fraud, insurance fraud, money funneled from the false deeds in the Midwest to Arizona and to election officials since 2004. This has been going on almost 20 years so far that they have found. Now, this Jacqueline Breger, she is dating Thaler of this Harris Thaler law firm. So people, saying the story is not true or saying that there's, conflict of interest or
an axe to grind, perhaps a political hit job. And we should always consider the source. We have to consider the source.
Yes, we'll say these are allegations. We can't say this is definitive or not. But this Thaler law, John Thaler, he's writing a book called Report to the Government. And I think it's in here. Yeah, here it is right here. It's from John Thaler. So you can even find him on Twitter here. And this is his new book, Report to the Government's Dealing Alleged Corruption and Cartels. Now, he married a woman named Brittany Ray Chavez, who was actually secretly cartel. And apparently they had like a chance meeting in 2014, but she knew John since 2011. So it's like the Truman Show, where it's like Truman is like interested in this one girl, but then it's all set up. His whole life is a lie, and the actress he's supposed to marry comes after him, and it's like, oh, just by chance. Well, it really wasn't by chance. So she knew John since 2011, and apparently she was being paid to create an extortion scheme against him to disrupt an earlier investigation into organized crime. And she was actually kind of came around after being married to him. They had a kid together, and he was going to be a star witness to go against the cartel and expose this. However, she was threatened and stopped. And then soon after, their son was abducted, 3 years old. So he's still, his son, McKinley, I believe is his name, is still missing. So the brides
still missing.
Yeah. So it's kind of like he's on a crusade to expose the people that have abducted his son and are involved in racketeering and corruption.
I mean, tell me, Blake, why would Obama? I did what Karine Jean-Pierre does or did. I'm referring to Biden as Obama because at this point we know it's Obama just pulling the meat puppet strings of this corpse named Biden. The first thing he does in office is he just starts dismantling the border security to let all of this flow freely through the southern border, to come up through Texas, through Arizona, through California. Where's the benefit to Americans here? Is there any single benefit to more of this stuff coming through and happening on our soil? Like, is there something I'm not realizing here with all the...
Yes, what you're not realizing is that it's possible that the cartels are so much money into the pockets of elected officials. I wouldn't even want to call them elected, but they're meddling in this, and they want to keep the borders open for business. And that's how you do it. And that would explain everything if this is true. And the bribes, they don't always go to, like, say, a sitting senator, public official. It's sometimes just at the beginning. It's people that want to maybe run for office, and then they get them at the beginning of their career, and they become basically bribed to become officials. So that's how they get you in their pocket right away. And going into the possible election meddling, I'll say possible. It's not definitive.
Possible.
There was one point where the investigator allegedly discovered 17 large boxes of ballots 3 weeks before the election, already filled out, with 3 big banker boxes just stuffed full of cash. And they say that Mesa, Arizona is actually itself is an entire racketeering enterprise. The mayor and the entire police department are basically, funneling cash or protecting the cartels or running this in. You've also got this other crooked official, Stephen Richer, who won his election despite he was the only Republican. He won by 6,000 votes, but they're saying that since all the Democrats won, like it would have been 50,000 people that voted a straight Democratic ticket to all of a sudden just change their one vote to get him elected. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, okay, so what do you think that could be? Is that they just forgot to rig that election, or he's
no?
on
They
the
wanted
take
him.
as well?
He's on the take. So the guy, the lady that was running against him was scandal free. She was good, and she was an incumbent. I don't know if she got some other kind of promotion or something. But I was saying here, Richard won by approximately 6,000 votes. That means 50,000 individuals who voted straight Democratic tickets, but except for the one Republican candidate for the county recorder against an incumbent who never suffered a scandal. This is a planned loss. Hobbs would receive a Democratic nomination, and then they had this Adrian Fonts ran for state to replace Hobbs. So they're just pushing people around. Just to be fair, there's a couple. This guy right here is Count. I forget Sesame Street, but he's like a reporter for one of the major Arizona newspapers, saying the evidence for bribery, accusation of warranting trustees with no context. People last name Hobbs, but there are different first names: Catherine, Kathleen, Catherine, necessarily Katie. I have to dig into this, saying that their contrary opinion, it's not 100%. The person saying Katie Hobbs would be taking cartel bribes, money laundering, taking kicks. I say prove it or shut up. Of course, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But this is a massive, massive bombshell story that can just rock the foundation. Imagine just the cartels are just so infiltrated into the whole state of Arizona, including the universities, all of these public officials all over the state to go with their and including meddling with the election potentially. So it's all run by the Sinaloa cartel and all that money that's going in. And that is why we were trying to figure out how can they keep the border open like that? Why would people want to keep that continuing? Oh, they're trying to vote, but they changed the ballot sizes. They changed it so you can't, to all the Republicans in Maricopa County. Giant lines, can't get anything going. It goes into a third box. It gets run over to this Runbeck election services thing in a truck. There's no chain of custody. And so there's no reason. And it dragged up for like weeks before they could make an announcement. So it seems like it was just everybody was all in to protect this and to protect the racket that they've got going on. So, again, allegedly, we don't know, but the Swift test says, I would say, yeah, Arizona looks like it's controlled by the cartel. That makes a lot more sense now with things going on, with the open border and the suspicious election. And as you said, the Secretary of State was running her own election.
How in the world was she not forced to recuse herself? How did a panel of judges not step in and say, "Are you out of your damn mind? I had to resign as the the assistant opinion page editor at my college newspaper because I ran for student government president." And that's a nothing position. How was she not forced to recuse herself from running that election? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Until you look at this, and now it comes, that seems like a good theory. That would explain everything.
So where are we going to flee to, Blake? Are we going to the Mars with Elon?
We're not. It's Arizona. We're going to the stars. I don't know if there's no safe spaces in here, Brian.
All right, good. So I guess we just got to dig in and push back. This is nuts, man.
Now, if we had a real FBI that we could trust, they should be going into Arizona right now and be making, I don't want to say arrests, but they should be investigating and interrogating people about what's going on to protect our country. This is a breach of security in the worst possible way.
Awesome. Okay, well then we'll keep our eye on this story. You know, obviously we discuss stories like this in the news. We discuss accusations, and we continue to gather evidence. I don't think we normally jump to conclusions or say that we know with 100% certainty. You know, we don't know, but we're reporting what's happening and what's being alleged. But I smell a friggin' rat in Arizona. I smell it all over the place. I smell rotting corpse all over the place. And what is fentanyl. This? Arizona authorities targeting the Sinaloa drug cartel have seized narcotics estimated to be worth more than $13 million, including more than 4.5 million fentanyl pills. Okay, fentanyl, all it does is kill us. Like this is war. Like they are trying to kill our population. China's Wuhan virus is trying to kill the population. What's happening with the vaccines and the side effects is the reproduction, like long term. We have no idea what's going to happen long term. We know a lot of people are having issues right now. We know the fentanyl is coming across our southern border trying to kill us. I just saw a video. My friend sent me a video today. I'm not going to share it, but right in the streets of St. Louis, the homeless guy fiddling with a gun, and he can't get it to load. And there's another guy down the street, and it's being filmed off to the side, and just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head, kills him right in the street. Bystanders, nobody stopping, nobody watching, nobody helping. It's just everything is falling apart everywhere. So
America last. That's a new policy.
Yeah. I've seen the new flag. It says like, "To hell with Ukraine, fix Ohio, clean up the chemical spill in Ohio." You know, it's just and the fentanyl, of course. Yeah, that's kind of how this connects, since we are under attack, whether it's our rail lines or what have you. Oh, here's the second 3,100 pounds of methamphetamine and large quantities of fentanyl powder, according to the DEA. Yeah, meth destroyed our Los Angeles neighborhood. Just zombies, just these junkies. It is the worst thing you can have floating around the cities, floating around anywhere, really. But yeah, the fentanyl manufactured in China, sold to the cartels in Mexico. Like this is we're at war with these cartels that are trying to kill us. I'm just trying to live a life. I'm not. What do I care? You know, you want to get high, get high. I don't have any problem with someone getting high as long as them being high doesn't hit me with a car, as long as it doesn't infringe upon life. Just do your thing. Oh, and you're saying that a lot of the illegal immigrants in Arizona are Asian.
It could be Chinese coming over the border. I mean, if there's no border security, anybody can come in. So we don't know who's who. We can't. How do you even tell?
Well, all right. Well, let's
in the middle of the night, and instead of the America First candidates taking over and shutting things down, it's wide open, and no one seems to care. There's millions of people coming over.
Well, let's put a fork in that one for now. We'll pause on this story. We got a couple more to buzz through with Blake's takes. Follow Blake on Twitter. He's at TV's Blake Walley, and follow the New American Media at American_media_. I guess I could do this East Palestine story next. I almost went to El Salvador because we're talking about Mexico. So I could, Blake, I'll give it your call. Do I pivot to El Salvador because we're staying in Central America, South America, or are we going over to Ohio because I just referenced Ohio and East Palestine?
You know what? Yeah, let's hit the El Salvador one real quick. So they've got some interesting theories.
Perfect. Here we go.
I kind of like what the.
All right. We have some interesting theories here. Agree or disagree, Blake? Prison reform in El Salvador has led to a police state.
Disagree. This appears to be coming from the Washington Post, trying to spin this because they don't like that there's another populist that has been elected in El Salvador. People love him. He has cracked down because they are full of some of the worst criminal gangs on the planet in MS-13. So, Brian, I don't know if you've seen some of these the video that he's put out showing the prisoners. Oh, really? You haven't seen it? All right. Well, we're gonna have to watch it. Tell me if you can hear it. But let's. Let me.
Yeah, I had a. I once had a business opportunity in El Salvador, and I almost followed up on that to see what was going on there. It did not pan out, and in a way, I kind of think back on that, and I feel kind of good that didn't happen. I think.
Well, the country seems to be turning around, and now it's also like a Bitcoin paradise. So,
okay. Yeah, this was a nice opportunity. This was there was prime beach real estate. There was lots of acreage, and there were plans to build a community of surfers and bring a bunch of Americans into it was a neat. It sounded neat, but it's a dangerous place. It's definitely a dangerous place.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. There's a community. There's a safe spot for richer Americans, but for the most part, a very dangerous country. But we've got this Nayib Bukele, or am I pronouncing that? Bukeles has been into power, and the gang crackdown is turning El Salvador into a police state, at least according to the Washington Post. So they're saying the most successful reduction in murder rates in any nation, and perhaps the history of mankind. So, Brian, I mean, this is a bombshell video. I'm kind of surprised you missed it. But I'll see if you can play it. Can you hear the audio? Uh-oh, my internet. These are hardcore militaristic style.
Off of a Pussifer album.
It looks like a futuristic movie of like a dystopian, like high tech. Those are Yeah, so that was actually put out on Twitter by this new president.
So this was basically to show people that he's seizing control from all of the criminals, and he's getting this under control. Essentially, is what that video was, right?
Oh, absolutely. So it's been like a historic reduction in crime. Not only that, the people love it because now they can go out on the streets. They can enjoy their lives now.
We should all love that. Who's against that?
Well, yeah, they don't want to see that in America. They don't want that kind of thing happening in other countries. But yeah, this is what happens when you have a populace take over in a country and actually do something. They don't want to see that in America.
How long has he been in office?
I don't know. Maybe just a couple of years, but he's been making a massive crackdown. The people love him, and the streets are safe again. And now the criminals, they see a video like they're shitting their pants. Because why would they want to go into a prison like that? And I mean, people are also saying, this is maybe, human rights, stuff like that. A lot of these guys are like, murderers. So
what about human rights?
Yeah, so I mean, if one of these people, if these guys like
what, they don't like them being in jail,
just the way that they're like where you see them kind of stacked up. I don't exactly know what a day in the life of a prisoner is, and this is kind of in the beginning. And they're saying it's like 2,000 some inmates right now, and they're going to have up to 40,000.
Well, if you're out killing the people of your own country, that's where you go. Like it's supposed. There's very little that we ask government for. Dare I say nothing? Okay, fine. Let's peel back from the Ron Paul, from the hardcore libertarian thing. We need a national defense. We need some infrastructure. We need some things. But really, all society needs is to just get some help taking the animals and putting them in cages. It's animal control. I guess we call them police, but we should just call them animal control. And you want them to be humane. You don't want to be abusing animals.
Well, you
but
want to see if you can rehab.
The same token, if they're out killing people, they're not human. They don't
well,
really.
They can't be rehabbed. Then there's nothing they can do with them. You want to try to fix them so that they can go live a productive life. They were brought into the gang culture. They're messed up or what have you, and see if you can fix them. But a lot of these people are not able to be fixed, so they have to be kept away from the rest of us. They're violent and irrational people. Personally, I think they should just probably, humanely get rid of some of them. I think it's a security risk just even having them there. It's a waste of resources to even keep them going. So it's just to purge that negative energy out of the culture. And what happens if there is a prison, there's a problem, the electricity goes out and these people escape, they're going to be really dangerous. But it's interesting, it sends them a message. And the gang violence has gone so far that they've had to pull things the other way and say, hey, this is how it is now. You don't deal with that. So I'm sure they'll watch trying to get that guy out of office as soon as possible and let the gangs back in. Imagine if they crack down on the cartels here the way they do there.
It's not impossible to do. All you need is some willpower.
Good people in office. The problem is they're corrupted by all the money, power, and control.
Jocelyn saying that the reports say there's 80 metal beds per 100 prisoners, no mattresses, 2 sinks, 2 toilets in each cell, who are holding 8. They have to stay in the cell unless they're going to court.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that necessarily. I think they should all have like their own bed or whatever. I don't want to see them like just being tortured forever. But I mean, certainly they need to be put in a position where they have to reevaluate their lives. And you can break them down like that, and it's kind of saying it's kind of like a
military
like a boot camp. Yeah, it's military style. So you're just seeing like these hardened criminals that are just so docile and following orders without question. Because probably a few of them have been, beaten to death, obviously, as an example and a warning to the others. So I'm in favor of, making the crackdown and sending the message, but you got to maybe pull back a little bit. Otherwise,
I think you touched on something. You touched on something about maybe just eliminating some of them. I've said this for a long time. I think we need to really normalize, popularize, killing sex offenders. Like, yeah. I could almost forgive somebody for certain types of manslaughter or murder, but when it comes to sex offenses that also have a murder, like, no, there's nothing redeemable left in that shell of the former human that did that. It's okay if you're erased. You can go sit in that chair. You can put your blindfold on and get the firing squad. Like, there's no loss it's a net gain to society to remove those people that are preying on the weak, on the powerless, to go that route. There's something so sadistic about that. Yeah, I think way too many people are avoiding the death penalty, especially when it gets into that type of abuse. So yeah, I like you said, you need to undilute the gene pool. How did you phrase that? You gotta clean up that rogue element. How did you phrase that? You said something.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and listen. But
it borders on eugenics. But I mean, who wants these types of people in your neighborhood? Nobody. Screw them. What
right. And you can't afford to have them escape. So that's another thing. Is it worth it? Are they worth the resources to keep them in there?
Hold on. So hearing that there were 1,600 murders in one day in that crackdown? What?
I don't know if that's 100% true, but I mean, that's when you get the people to scream, hey, we're getting, our lives are destroyed by these gangs run rampant, and they elect the guy who's going to make changes. And finally, they say, okay, we're done. We're done playing this game. We're not letting the criminals run the country. So,
the inmates running the asylum. Yeah, in
Right.
Los Angeles, we had a pretty big gang problem. The murders used to be a lot heavier in the 90s, like in the Tupac and Biggie days. People were getting shot and killed in the streets. Like I've heard those stories, and they point at the area where they tried to lift him up and his brains spilled out onto the street. Like less murders, but just as much zombified prostitution, robbery, grand theft auto, dogs off leashes attacking other animals and other people, the arson. I think I said twice. They're burning buildings. They're burning cars. They're turning tricks. They're robbing people. They're breaking and entering, home invasions. I mean, the pumping these kinds of drugs into the communities is just reprehensible. Like I said, once again, being fairly libertarian on the subject of getting high, do your thing, but just don't harm anybody else in the process. That's all we should really be caring about here. And yeah, man, like we see Lori Lightfoot. I know it's not on our stack of stuff to do, but I read that she's officially losing now. Now she should have been losing from the jump. These people, like, how could anybody vote for any of these clowns?
Well, speaking of that, I saw an article the other day where they were trying to like get the inmates in Chicago and Cook County to vote for her. And so like one of the inmates, I believe, blew a whistle and saying, hey, they're trying to get, the prisoners to vote for her. Anywhere they can get it. So it seems like the Democrats are just breaking all the rules to keep themselves in power. It's
time to hit back.
Hello, Claire.
It's time to go on offense.
Yeah. But
because it's happening. We're getting attacked. We're just trying to live our lives and be cool. And there's people infringing upon that. Well, shit, I didn't ask for this, but here we are. So anyhow. All right, let's bounce to the next one, perhaps. Hi, Claire.
Yeah, I've only got a few minutes, so I've got to really knock this out quick.
Let's do it. Let's go quick. That was a one. Yeah, see, some of those we just got to extend more seconds if we could redo some of those. Agree or disagree, Blake? East Palestine residents are East Palestine, Berenstain. East Palestine residents are dying from the toxic train derailment. Agree or disagree?
I'm going to have to say agree. They're dying. I don't know if they've died, but certainly a lot of the wildlife has died.
The wildlife has died, and the people may be dying. Once again, we got to have a long-term study here.
Right. Well, humans can take a lot more of these poisons and bad air and bad water than a small aquatic creature can. So it'll just take a massive health toll. And you might see birth defects, and you might see dying, you might see cancer. Now, people are claiming that they are dying slowly. I will pull up a couple of articles here. This is out of the Activist Post. It's actually out of Zero Hedge. Tyler Durden, we're dying slowly. East Palestine residents report bizarre health issues.
I'm so angry about this. Ohio is my homeland, and I'm very protective over anything that happens there. And this makes me so angry that Buttigieg came out when this happened and he started griping that there's too many white people. Once again, Barack Obama typing the shit in the basement for these idiots, these stupid puppets, these self-loathing. How could you read stuff on a script to bash your own race just to keep your job, to continue being on the string of Barack Obama, to regurgitate his venomous racist rhetoric, when Buttigieg should be scooping up all of this material and damming it off, slurping it up and excavating and taking this to a toxic site to be disposed of. He's out there saying there's too many white people in construction. He literally did this while this event was happening, before he showed up there. I can't handle it, dude. Like,
Well, hey, if he doesn't do it, they'll find that will. That's just the way things are now. So they love it.
Well, then step down and do it. Let somebody else regurgitate this crap. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's how they changed the press secretary. that can replace the reporters. They'll just find somebody. They can get rid of Brian Stelter and put somebody else in. That's going to get paid to push out the propaganda. And some of these people are just they're hardcore psychos. They don't care. They don't have any empathy for the people. So yeah, a lot of people with health problems. I won't get into it too much. Just we got mystery rashes and sore throats, but we don't know what the long-term effects are, and it's going to be pretty nasty. And I know this is also even leaking into Indiana, where Pete is from. So there's a lot of problems. There's another article, news, 8 alarming cover-ups and contradictions, and the chemical nightmare spreading across multiple states. And Brian, you and I are both downwind from some of this. There's also great farmland up there, and this could have be giving us health problems for decades, for all I know. So it's just, and then why did they burn this stuff? Was it just to keep the commerce moving on the train tracks? Why didn't they dispose of this differently? Were they letting it happen? What is the EPA doing? People are getting sick, being evacuated. Every decision is they're spreading them, not containing them. All the gallons of water to spray. It's not tanker cars. It's emptying. It's igniting vinyl chloride. It's really sad. And they botched the whole cleanup operation. I don't know if Biden has even mentioned it yet. Mayor Pete was forced to finally come out there because he was looking bad and people were screaming for him. But administration's got blood on their hands. And who knows what is going to happen to these people over a few years. So very sickening stuff. Brian, and on that, I've got, 30 seconds here. Just one last thing that we didn't touch on.
God, we have John Fetterman. Is he alive? Has anyone done a wellness check?
Yeah, good call. I'll just address a couple of tweets here. There's one from Monica Crawley. It says, sitting U.S. senator was admitted to the hospital 2 weeks ago and have received no updates about his condition. The press refuses to ask questions, and his wife left the country with their kids.
What was with that?
Exactly. And then we're saying this one from John Cardillo. Again, we don't know if these are confirmed. He's being told that Fetterman's essentially brain dead, and it's being kept hidden because if they can just keep him in office until August 18, it will avoid a special election, which Republicans would most certainly win. It must be investigated. So
okay, we'll investigate that. A Chinese kissing machine. Thoughts? What was this one?
I don't have time. We're going to talk about it Thursday. We don't have time to hash that in.
We didn't even get to Dilbert. This is such a good story.
But
citizens
we
voting.
We need 5 minutes at least. I want 5-10 minutes to talk about that. Maybe we can do it Thursday. Maybe we can get Stephanie in here. The other one, the citizens and the DC thing, also another one that kind of ties into some of the stories we were talking about. I'll just quick share a headline. Basically, they were trying to get non-citizens allowed to be voting into DC. But fortunately, that was shot down. But they're going to keep trying to push this, especially for all the people that are entering through the border illegally. They want to get those people to vote Democrats legally if they can. Otherwise, they'll stuff the ballots, or they're ballot harvesting, or dirty voter rolls, or any number of different issues, or run back election services, or what have you. Anything it takes, because winning is all that matters to these people. It's very sick. But we didn't even get into the Dilbert racist stuff.
I know. It's like that could have led the show on a lot of other days, but we had to address.
We got to get Stephanie in there. She's a big fan of Scott. You're a fan of him, so we'll have to postpone until Thursday because that's all the left-wing media talked about. But I've got to go. I'm up against the wall here. So thank you, everybody. It was great, and we'll catch up Thursday, and we'll get to more of these issues.
Find him on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley. Deuces, Blake. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll wrap it up.
All right, sounds good. Later.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on February 28th, this Tuesday. Let me just make sure I've run through your chats real quick. If you got anything to say, this would be the time to speak now or forever hold your pieces. Okay, so yeah, the problem with the Ohio thing, Jocelyn, you're saying that it's a state of Ohio thing. Yeah, well, I mean, look, it didn't stop the media from instantly trying to blame Trump for deregulating trains. They said that the bearings had failed and they were blowing flames out for 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and have a robust conversation. That's one piece of information I heard. I can't confirm that with 100% certainty, but if that's true, there are heat sensors along the way. That should have been picked up on. There's a lot we need to learn from this and improve upon with our infrastructure, our critical infrastructure systems for sure. I'm no fan of DeWine with his lockdowns in Ohio and trying to force people to wear masks and trying to force people to take experimental shots in their arms. Like I don't like Mike DeWine at all. I dislike him a lot. So yeah, the DeWine thing, I get what you're saying there. You're saying each state is sovereign and the governor has to say it's an ecological problem and apply FEMA for funds. Well, no. My understanding is that DeWine did push for FEMA funds and he was told no. And then everything just kind of stalled and he accepted their no. And then Buttigieg he was talking about how it's unfair or racist that there's too many white people working in construction. And I've worked in construction. There's not a lot of white people in construction. I don't know what he's talking about. If we're going to like through a purely going through the analytics of the race of the people who are working on construction sites, no, I wouldn't say it's jam-packed with white people by any stretch. But I mean, I love construction. I love working on housing. I went and built off-the-grid earth ships. You can check out, if you scroll back far enough on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Is it on that channel? Yeah, I think it is. There's Earthship videos that I put out, kind of doing a walkthrough. We took over a property that was private, and then it went back to the people who developed the Greater World Earthship community, and we're rebuilding it into a functional type of Earthship. And it was pretty neat getting to rebuild the greenhouses and kind of get the grounds and the property back in working order. Really neat stuff. But anyway, no. There was no movement from FEMA until President Trump said that he's coming to Ohio and he's appalled by what he's seeing and trying to call some attention to it. Instantaneously, FEMA said they were releasing funds and giving help. Like, these guys are so gross at FEMA with Buttigieg in his office, Biden, all of these people. Lord help us. We've been overthrown in this country. Please deliver us from this evil and bring something back to this country that is going to represent and fix the dirty water, the dirty air. And who the hell says it's safer to burn this shit than to just clean it up, to soak it up into tanker trucks, soak it and take it away? Oh, we're afraid it's going to burst. Well, then detach the other cars from it. You got to have some sort of chemical to douse this stuff. Like, there are supposed to be emergency crews to handle stuff like this, and they're supposed to be deployed immediately, whenever that is. You don't just set it all on fire and let it all dump into your river unless it's intentional. I don't get it. So no, FEMA was pushed into action because of President Trump. Bless him for doing that. Claire saying we might need to move out of Ohio. Now, I have moved out of Ohio. I was on the West Coast for a lot of years, and now I am out of Ohio. But with my drinking fountain my straw is in the drinking fountain of the Ohio River. So it's been a stressful couple of weeks trying to figure out what to do, and bottling water and our showers even safe, and calling the local, discussing this with the water company. And then it's like, well, Cincinnati shut off their water intake so that their straw isn't consuming this stuff downriver. But Louisville didn't. It's the same river. It's just on the other side of the same Ohio River. Why did they make that decision? And why did our side say there's nothing to worry about? And that bothers me. So, I mean, I hate drinking bottles of water because of the plastics, not just the BPA, which is some bullshit that shouldn't be used in consumable stuff. But, I've been drinking way more bottled water than ever before because I don't know how bad it really is. And that's a lousy spot to be in. But yeah, I have family and loved ones all throughout the great state of Ohio. And I love them dearly. I love that state. And I will defend them with every last fiber of my being. Claire saying, Jocelyn saying, dioxin is bleach. Do you use Clorox in your home? The mustard gas will dissipate. Okay, well, okay, that's good. That's good. Spread ash on the ground and turn the ground. Do not be pushed off the land. Yeah. No, we're holding on to that land for sure. Yeah, and those bums trying to get people to sign liability releases, like, you don't even know what happened. Don't you dare sign anything, and screw you for putting a piece of paper in front of somebody that quickly to try to bribe them away into silence and in stupidity and ignorance. In the ignorance of not knowing all the facts. How dare you try to get these people to sign anything away? If there's any future health problems, I mean, this is on you. The train company that allowed it to tip, to topple over, and then the idiots that approved burning this stuff. So yeah, you're saying here that Fetterman is done. I mean, it sure seems like it. So let's get a wellness check. I've had to do this several times for neighbors, and unfortunately, I had to try to help when a neighbor had passed away, and they had already passed, so that was unhelpful. Anyway, I digress. But back to this. Hare Krishna, my friends. You get a chance to listen to the Bhagavad Gita or the audiobook on YouTube? No. I have not. I'm looking to see if I have a Bhagavad Gita, book. I don't. I think that's still at my brother's with his stuff. I think his wife is gonna keep that. But yeah, the Bhagavad Gita. What is that? What is that line? Maybe you could tell me. It's from the Ancient Aliens episode where one person laughed, one person cried, and people were silent when they erupted the first nuclear bomb, and they read a quote. I'm the bringer of death. They read a passage from the Bhagavad Gita, so it's very interesting stuff. MJ Sedona, Jocelyn saying, Dilbert's running leftist papers. What did you expect? She's surprised he lasted as long as he did. Yeah, I suppose so. But, it's been said before, but Scott has FU money. He can get canceled, and it's Blake and I will talk about this later, maybe on Thursday, I suppose. But I mean, we're kind of losing the timeliness of it. I do want to talk about it, but yeah, Scott Adams cited a recent poll in Rasmussen. It was a poll given to Black Americans, and they were asked a question: is it okay to be white in America? And half the people did not say that it's okay to be white in America. And so the backlash is not, for some reason, the backlash is not against 50% of the people polled who said it's not okay to have skin in America, to look a certain way. The most racist, vile, gross thing. Just flip the poll around. Anytime something like this comes up, I just say reverse the races, change the races, and see how the story sounds. If you ask the same number, Rasmussen reports, ask the same number of people, is it okay, of white people only, is it okay to be black in America? And half the people could not say yes. Houston, we got a problem. We're back in the 1800s again. This is not good. And that's what Scott Adams said. He's like, my God, there's this number of people. And among the half that couldn't say that it's okay to be white, some said they're not sure. I'm sorry. If you're not sure if it's okay to have the skin color that you have, you're a creep. You're a racist. You're gross. But people didn't freak out on the 50% that, the roughly 50% that could not say it's okay to be white in America. But if you asked the same group of white people, is it okay to be black? And they said no. Oh, we'd have a story. Just like I saw an awful video of a woman today, and I don't even know was it Chattanooga? It was Tennessee. And it was a homeless lady, and she was at the hospital, and they signed her out, and she couldn't breathe, and they thought she was faking it, and they loaded her into the back of a car, and she died. And she was begging for help, and nobody would help her, and they were mocking her, they were laughing at her. It was putrid. It was horrible to watch. But what's going to come of this? I believe none of the officers are facing any sort of any sort of punishment or been fired or facing murder charges. But what if the person was black? Remember that scene from what was that, A Time to Kill? The John Grisham movie with Matthew McConaughey and Samuel L. Jackson. Now I want you to close your eyes. This beautiful girl walking down the road, blah, 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 da, da. Now imagine she was white. And you go, oh, damn. Okay. I see what they did there. It's just, you have to reverse these and go, if this was an equal story with just different skin suits on the human, what would the reaction be? And that thing I saw at Tennessee was awful. I wish I didn't watch it. I watched that Kelly Thomas video out in Fullerton, California. And you just they're crying out for help and they're being mocked. They're being laughed at. In Fullerton's case, the cop put on gloves and said, you see these gloves? See these fists? They're getting ready to F you up. And he beat him to death. Just a non-violent dude sitting there. Was not causing a problem. And this cop just wanted to kill someone that day. And he was all on tape. And you could hear him crying for help and for his mom. To his dad? Calling for one of his parents. I'm not watching it a second time. But yeah, this one today, I just watched it and I was halfway through and I'm like, oh God, I've gone this far. So I know what the story is. And yeah, these cops need to go. This is gross. There needs to be better services for people. If you are homeless, if you are like, there needs to be better mental health. There needs to be better medical facilities. Like what they did to just, in the way they're laughing and mocking her. And it's the worst of humanity. I didn't even, I hardly paid attention to the race of the police. Mostly white people and one black guy, maybe. Like, I don't care what this game that they play to always paint this narrative. If you find the right demographic to get outraged about, it needs to be the lead story forever and used as a political bludgeon to hit over the head of your, political opponents. It's terrible. But anyway, Scott Adams, when confronted with this, said, why would you want to live in neighborhoods like this? Go. And I watched him on a subsequent episode. He said, that the part of it, interesting part of this story is that I didn't say this is just for, like, I'm saying this about everybody needs to leave these areas. The crime is through the roof. They don't like you if you look this way, apparently, if we're to believe this poll that was done by Rasmussen, not me, he says. So it's an interesting topic. And I watched the clip of Chris Rock. Oh my God. Talking about how there's certain groups in his community that are ruining it for everybody else. Was it about can't open a disco? I don't know if it was from Bigger and Blacker. I don't remember which comedy tour it was with Chris Rock saying it, but I just scrolled past the video clip. I might have tweeted it out. Follow us at American_media_. And it was just, you can't open up a disco. 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and somebody will be in there shooting the place up and getting it shut down. He hates certain groups of his own people. And he very loudly articulated that fact. So, I mean, nobody wants to live in a crime-infested neighborhood. And yeah, I mean, Scott Adams, he reacted to this post and all of the outrage, the people that, it's just so interesting. How dare you comment on this obviously racist story out of Rasmussen? It's not that Rasmussen was being racist, because then their other question was, can black people be racist? What was the second question? And you had a certain percentage of people, answering that question as well. But yeah, the coordinated effort to starve revenue from Scott Adams. He shouldn't be allowed to have a cartoon about office scenarios because he did not like hearing from a group of Black Americans polled by Rasmussen that said it's not okay for him to be his color in this country. how could you take that any other way than disgusted by hearing somebody say something like that? So, reverse the races. If it was a black comic strip creator, and it was a group of white people who said, "Is it okay to be black in America?" and half the people could not say yes. And then the black comic said, you got to get out of those neighborhoods. If half the people aren't going to like you, if half the people are going to have a prejudice and hold animosity and grudges and resentment and hate toward you just because of how you look, you need to get out. You need to get out of that neighborhood. I can understand a black comic strip creator having a similar thought if it was reversed. So it's a fascinating story. I'll save a little bit, and yeah, you're right, Claire. We'll get to some more of the Dilbert stuff on Thursday. Maybe I'll try to listen to Scott. I listened the day after. I was like, huh. That's a curious story. And now I was scrolling through once again, being from Cleveland. I saw the Cleveland Plain Dealer saying, "We will no longer carry Dilbert comics in our, their website or their, I don't even know if they exist in print form anymore, in our publication." I'm like, so very interesting. All right. Jocelyn, she's bouncing. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about Stephanie. She was a good guest a couple of times, and we'll see if she joins us again. I don't know. All I know is what I know. All right, one more thing before you go. Jocelyn saying DeWine should have called in the National Guard and got all those people out of there. Then he should have ordered tests and provided evidence of pollution to the EPA. Yep, I am. I've got no love for DeWine. I want him gone. Claire, Brian, aren't you tired of these shows? Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon going after Trump. They need to let the topic go. As if they had a paid agenda. Yeah, absolutely, they have a paid agenda. NBC is MSNBC. Colloquially referred to as MSDNC. It's an arm of the Democratic Party, and it's all full of the grossest deep state operatives out there, the professional liars who want to send us to war for the military-industrial complex as our rights are eroded. There's no value to this stuff for Americans. They don't provide value. They're full of bullshit, and everything they touch turns to trash. The blowback from all these foreign conflicts and all just the damage done, the resentful, spiteful, in part of what Scott Adams was commenting on. I mean, the media has poisoned America against itself. If it's being run by China and they want us fighting with each other, you're playing into the game by giving them that. So yeah, I'm over these shows. Jimmy Fallon, that's NBC. I used to like it when Jay Leno was on there. Jay Leno would take he would take cracks at Democrats, he'd take cracks at Republicans. He'd go back and forth. That's not really how it goes anymore. And I was fortunate enough I got to stay in the room. I was working an event for John Melendez. He was the announcer for the Tonight Show, and I was out in Calabasas doing an event. Really nice guy. Nice home, nice family. And I just remember worked that day, and it was a really fun party. They had like bouncy castles and cotton candy machines and popcorn machines, and everyone was wearing like Ramones t-shirts, and it was like a laid back kind of thing. I was the bartender in the backyard overlooking these cascading mountains, like this vast mountain range, and it was neat. It was really neat. But then afterward, he was like, "Yeah, grab a beer, hang out for a little bit." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I had a Corona. It's funny how like you have those moments in your life and you just remember where you are, what you're eating, what you're drinking, what songs on the radio, what you were wearing. Like you just have those snapshots. And I got to be a fly on the wall. Went in the garage, big garage, a lot of folding chairs, and I got to sit in that room. And it was a lot of Tonight Show writers. So I guess this would have been, when did everything switch to Conan? I mean, this probably would have had to have been 05, 06, 07, maybe something like that. Earlier the better, I think. Yeah, and just getting to hang out in that writer's room. It was a bunch of old Jewish dudes. I mean, everybody was trying to one-up each other, telling a joke, telling a story, telling an amusing anecdote. Sorry, and I remember the Simpsons line where he talks about amusing antidotes. intentionally saying it wrong for the joke of it, but I love that line so much. I intentionally say it wrong sometimes. But yeah, just being a fly on the wall, just listening to all these Tonight Show writers cracking wise, sipping on Coronas, just like, dude, you're having a really good day, aren't you? I made money. I'm having Coronas, and I'm like in the writers' room. It was super cool. One of my favorite moments of my life. But yeah, and then Jimmy Kimmel, good Lord, he simps so hard for the New World Order. It is so gross. I remember being in Austin, Texas, last year. Austin, Massachusetts. I was in Austin, Texas, and I was in a hotel, and I was flipping through the channels, and I ended up on Jimmy Kimmel. I was like, okay, how did I get here? I don't know. I haven't seen this show like ever. And I just let it play, and I was unwinding after a long day, and it was the worst television I had ever seen. It was so spiteful, anti-Trump. It was just like watching a Barack Obama fundraiser. It was gross. It was not entertaining. It wasn't funny. It wasn't redeemable. It wasn't adding any value. Yeah, that's ABC, ESPN, Disney. Disney's gone completely woke and disgusting. ESPN has pushed racial politics and divisive politics. Men are women, women are men. Biological males should be boxing and kickboxing and punching women and beating them in races. And you're like, none of that makes sense. And all they're doing is promoting the LeBron James, like this angry. It really goes back to the Barack Obama school of not social justice. What the hell phrase am I looking for? Not environmental justice, social. Wait, community organizing. There we go. It really stemmed from this hateful, divisive community organizing. It doesn't organize. It organizes to destroy and spin out like a cyclone. So yeah, ESPN pushes the crap. Disney's pushing their crap, and ABC is just as bad. So it's ABC, ESPN, Disney. I do a sports show called The Unhappy Hours. So I am very keyed into, and we've often said The Unhappy Hour is the anti-ESPN. So yeah, I'm so tired of these shows incessantly attacking anyone who's rational and just playing, just running cover up for the known liars. I can't stand it. So yeah, good point, Claire. Jocelyn saying here that DeWine did nothing. Trump was stumping for his POTUS run. Yeah, he was. And then he brought a bunch of water, and he went and bought out McDonald's and said, feed everybody. And it's like, he found free money laying on the floor. That was the perfect thing to do. And him going there caused Buttigieg to go there shortly after. A really quick interview, early morning. And the people that were confronting him were very unhappy with him. And FEMA announced that they would actually help the people of Ohio only after President Trump went there. So yes, he was stumping for his POTUS run, but it was the perfect thing to do. And by the way, on that point, I just want to say it again to anyone with ears. Please tell your friends this if you agree. We need to get Ron DeSantis to commit. Are you in or are you out for the 2024? And we want to know quick, because what the Democrats do, if nothing else, and they don't do much anything good in my book, they focus and they attack their enemies. Republicans and libertarians are just kind of like fighting with each other. And so I just need Ron DeSantis to unite the Republican Party and attack. And just like attack the wokeness and attack the absurdity and the insanity of what's being pushed by the globalists right now. We do not need a divided party. This is Trump's rematch. Everybody knows it. Ron, if you play this right, I might very well strongly support you in 2028, but I will not support you in 2024. Not now, not ever. I don't care what happens. You better not go against President Trump in this election in 2024. A lot of people think he had it in the bag in 2020 and that it was taken from him. And so this is the rematch. No more of this mail-in ballot crap and pausing elections in the middle of the night. And look at all these swing states that just flipped. And we're gonna drag election counts out for days and days and weeks. Like, that's not how you do it. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. That's a message to DeSantis. Really, play your cards right, pal. Please. Because I when Soros starts backing you and you're not quite denying that you're interested in a presidential run right now, it gives me grave concern. You could unite the party in a way that maybe nobody else could, and you could destroy the party and guarantee Democrats get another 4 years somehow after ruining the country in 2. So that's my message to the senses. So no, it is not safer to burn the chemicals. When there are train spills, they bring in empty containers and move the fluids to them. Yeah. Their one thing was, well, we were afraid it was going to catch fire. Then put it out. Put it out. So yeah, getting some support, saying that it's scary drinking the water. Yes, it is. You'll be okay. They're still trying to get people out of there because of deep state land grab. So that's, yeah, I mean, and remember, we went out, Blake and I, years ago, we went out to the Bundy Ranch in outside of Las Vegas, and that was BLM, not Black Lives Matter, the Marxist organization. This was Bureau of Land Management. They were shooting cattle. They were pushing pregnant women and attacking them with dogs, German Shepherds. We talked with Pete Santilli. We talked with several people in the Bundy family. We were at the ranch. They're pointing to there's snipers over there. There's snipers over there. That's where the helicopter flew over, and that's where they shot the cattle. That's where they shot more cattle. And they said that there's a land grab with Harry Reid so they could get mineral rights to get that land back, for manufacturing or some sort of industrial use. Now, that was the story at the time. That's what they said. I just listened and reported it. We can look in hindsight and see what's actually real. But yeah, the deep state land grabs, that I'm over that crap. No, you hold your ground, figure it out. They want the taxpayer to pay to clean the water before the silicone chip maker goes in and has to pay. Yeah. So you're saying it's a hub in that part of Ohio for fiber optic communication along the East Coast. The deep state wishes to take out communications so people won't be able to show what's happening. Yeah. I mean, we keep hearing about this communications blackout, and you better have a plan. I want to get my ham radio license real quick so I can at least have something. I have a couple of plans for additional communication. I think everybody should. Another question. Have you seen the videos from Ohio? They're all shaky like the Blair Witch and makes everything seem so much more threatening. Take your cell phone and run while videotaping. Does it jiggle and shake? No. I mean, yeah. I don't know with the shaking video, though. I haven't seen a lot of those. She saw the Ohio videos and saw burned out cars. Looked around the cars. There's no evidence of any kind of burn or devastation. Go look and think about it. They're trying to keep people in fear. They are trying to keep people in fear. That's sure. That's their number one thing. They're energy vampires. The song Vicarious. Vicariously, I live while the whole world dies. Much rather you than I. Anyway. All right, so Jocelyn's taking off. Peace out. Thank you for joining us today. Claire. Yeah, Jano's classy, not as biased. Yeah, Leno's cool. I always expected to meet. I drove past him one time on the PCH. I might have waved or given him a nod. I didn't have a chance to talk to him. I did go to a taping of the Leno show right at the end. Blue October was playing when that song "Hate Me" came out. We had followed Blue October for years. My dad had met them. Geez, probably on their first album. Their singer bought me a Sam Adams in Chicago when we saw them. But yeah, that's who it was. We got to see them. I always expected I would have Jay Leno, like I would interview him. Maybe I should reach out now that we have this platform and we're kind of doing this regularly. I need to start bringing in the guests. It's been a while since I've done this, but like it's kind of reminded me how much I enjoy learning about the news together. Claire asking, what kind of sports? Being from Ohio, I am a Cleveland sports fan. Indians, Cavs, Browns, and Buckeyes. The Indians were sacrificed to the woke gods, and now they're known as the Guardians. And that just killed a piece of my childhood. It's just that's my team, and then that team doesn't exist anymore. So those are my main teams, but I'll cover anything in the world of sports. I'm interested in sports. I love competition. I love defending women's sports so that only biological women can compete against other biological women because I'm not crazy. Could you imagine unleashing your daughter to go get pummeled by a biological male? Could you just imagine like an MMA match or something or some sort of physical competition, and you have to like, that's the reason why we split them up in the first place. So that's a big cornerstone issue for me. But yeah, I'll cover anything in sports. I haven't met a sport that I don't enjoy. So one of the places we're most active, and we do have a separate YouTube channel for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. I think it's called the Unhappy Hour, or is it the Unhappy Hour Sports Show? I haven't used it in a while, but I'll start going through here and doing programs on Restream for the Unhappy Hour. But yeah, if you look on Facebook, where would we be? We would be the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group is what it's called. It's a private group. So if you join and say, I watched you, because it asks, how did you find our group? Just say, I saw Brian on his live stream. He was hosting Agree to Disagree. And so I figured I'd check out his sports, and I will let you in. I promise. So cool. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate you all. Once again, follow Blake Walley on Twitter. He's at TV's Blake Walley. Follow us, thenewamericanmedia.com. There's a lot of stuff archived there. I have not been very active lately, and it's up to me to go back, and it's just an extra thing to do, another password to remember. I got to upload, get in and get into the back end, adding code, and am I going to do a screenshot? Am I going to link to another story? And I got to grab the hyperlink. It's easier just click and share. And this goes to YouTube. This goes to Facebook. This goes to Telegram. This goes to Twitter. The website's just been a bit of an afterthought, so I will try to get back to it. But yeah, definitely follow us on I have too many sites on Facebook, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. But yeah, like I said, for the New American Media, Instagram, we're the New American Media. They haven't kicked us off yet. Twitter at American_media_. YouTube.com/the New American Media. That's where you have like 11 years of content. I don't know, 1,300, 1,700 videos, sports, spirituality, politics. Just all sorts of content, music. But that's the TNAM universe, TNAM, because the news always matters. That's the New American Media, because the old American media has failed. So cool. That's all I got for today. I appreciate you all watching, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Appreciate you. Take care. Peace.